Assalamu alaikum dear students. In the series of learning C programming, we are discussing structures in C. In previous video, we have discussed what are structures, why do we need structures, and how to declare a structure. That all have been thoroughly discussed with the help of the example in previous video very minutely and thoroughly. Or we can say everything regarding the introduction of structures have been discussed in previous video. And in today's video, we are going to discuss how to declare the variables of structure, or we can say how to declare the objects of the structure. That will be discussed in today's video very minutely with the help of the example. क्योंकि अच्छी पढ़ान C programming, तो C programming मुझे पढ़ान structures, तो पच्चीस वीडियोस में कुछ ऐसे structure क्या गो, अस्केज पे ज़रूरत structure नहीं, तो उस कितने चीज़ declare करान structure. तो उस किस वीडियोस में मुझे होइस कि उस किन करो objects of the structure declare. या we can say how we can declare the variables in structure. That will be discussed in today's video. So let us start. So first of all, we will write an example, a previous example of structure, which I have already discussed in previous video. So first of all, I am going to declare here a structure, subtract student. And for example, int roll number, care, or more precisely I can say string, name, float, marks, and here end of the structure. Here I have declared a structure by name student, and these are the members of the structure: roll number, name, and float marks. And marks. Here, roll number is type integer, name is type of character, and marks are of type float. If we recall the declaration of the variables, we know when we are going to declare a variable, we only write the data type of the variable and name of the variable. For example, here integer is the data type and a is the name of the variable. And similarly, if we declare a character variable, here we can write char a, and in the same way we can write float a, for example. Depending upon these data types, the memory manager, or you can say the memory is going to be allocated for this variable. Obviously, here integer for a, 4 bytes of memory will be allocated. For this char a, 1 byte of memory will be allocated, and for this 4 bytes of the memory will be allocated by the memory manager for this variable. And similarly, I have told you in the previous video that structure. What is structure? Actually, structure is the user-defined data type. Structure is the user-defined data type. So obviously here, struct student is the data type, name of the data type. Here, just like here as a integer, int is the data type, char is the data type, and float is the data type. These are all the inbuilt data type, or you can say fundamental data type. But here I have declared a structure student, because to declare a structure we use a keyword subtract. Subtract is actually a keyword which is used to declare a structure, and student here is the tag, student tag, or we can say a structure name. So this whole subtract student, it is the data type. Accordingly, the manager will allocate memory to this user-defined data type, to this structure, according to this name. Subtract student is a user-defined data type. Not only subtract is not only a data type, but both subtract student is the user-defined data type. I have declared here a structure with these three members: roll number, care name, and flow marks. We know that no space will be allocated here. With this declaration, the compiler will allocate no space. No space will be allocated for this by the memory manager, as it is only the template. We have already discussed it in the previous video. क्योंकि टाइटल मोन में कि यम साथ स्ट्रक्चर डिक्लेयर करान छ कौन स्पेस छन अथ में एलोकेट करने खाली क्या छ डिक्लेयर छ गसान स्ट्रक्चर कि या सच नम मेंबर्स ऑफ दिस स्ट्रक्चर टाइप की एक्चुअली struct student is a data type, user defined data type. क्योंकि यम साथ मेमोरी एलोकेट गसान छ सच गसान एज पर द डेटा टाइप इसके ये तम में इंटीजर खत 16 बाइट गसान कैरेक्टर खत 8 बाइट करन तो फ्लोट छ 4 बाइट इन स्पेस. And in the same way, this subtractive student you choose, it is also a data type. But this type of data type is a user-defined data type. Now the question is, how can we declare the variables of structure? Variables of structure, or we can say objects of structure. क्योंकि ये variables of structure से आसात तिमन से वनान objects के. इसके येतन को ना here I have declared a variable a of type integer, here a of type character, here variable a of type float. Similarly, now question how we can declare the variables of the structure. For example, here I will write here man, or you can say void man. Subtract student s. By this only, I have write what is subtract student. Actually, subtract student is a user-defined data type. Are you getting? Subtract student is a user-defined student data type. Here, just like I have here written int a, int is a data type, and in the same way, this subtract student is the data type. And what is s? S is the name of the variable, or we can say object of structure. By this way declaration, by writing subtract student s, what is s? S is the variable name. S is the variable name, or we can say objects of the student, objects of the structure, and subtract student is the data type. क्योंकि इसके में एक इंट खातर एक और इंटीजर इस्तेमाल ये में कैरेक्टर खातर केयर इम्पोर्टेंट फ्लोट तिथा के ना subtract student इस वैल्यू एक्चुअली subtract student यूजर डिफाइंड डेटा टाइप के एज पर प्रीवियस वीडियोस में यम साथ स्ट्रक्चर आप डिक्लेयर करान छी तम साथ करान इस्तेमाल कीवर्ड subtract followed by the structure name. अगर नहीं ये खाली लोग फॉर एग्जांपल subtract है subtract s1 s subtract s, it will show me error because subtract student is this from this to this is the data type. Not only subtract is not a data type, but both subtract along with this tag, structure tag is the data type. So whenever I am going to declare the objects of the structure or you can say variables of structure, I have here written it subtract full name student s. Okay, subtract student s. By writing this subtract student, because the compiler will now understand that what is s? S is the variable, or you can say s is the object, but of which structure, of which this type subtract student. That is s is the variable of this structure. S is the variable given structure. And accordingly, the memory manager will allocate the memory. According to this subtract student, the memory manager will allocate the memory for this s variable. Now, the question is, how much memory will be allocated by the memory manager for this? Take care. We know that integer takes 4 bytes of the memory, so integer occupies 4 bytes of memory, and in some compilers, in some machines, only 2 bytes. For example, we assume we are using the compiler which allocates 4 bytes to the integer. Here, for this 4 bytes of memory will be allocated. For this we know that character occupies 1 byte of space, 1 byte of memory. Here there are the 20 characters, that means 20 bytes of the memory will be allocated. And for float, 4 bytes of the memory will be allocated. And total of 20, 24, 28 bytes of memory will be allocated by the memory manager for this variable, or we can say for this object. This is one way of declaring an object, declaring the variable in C, in structures. For example, I can declare more than one variable at a time. There is nothing wrong in declaring. For example, I will write as S1 is the 1 and S2 is the second. And accordingly, in the memory, what will happen? I will see you. This is the space for S1, and this is the space allocated by the memory manager for S2. Same way, 4 bytes will be allocated for roll number, just like this. 20 bytes will be allocated for this name, and 4 bytes will be allocated, 4 bytes for this marks, for S1 object. And similarly here, separate memory will be allocated for S2, for roll number. This is for name, 20 bytes. And this is for marks. The total of 20 bytes will be allocated for S2, and separate memory of 20 bytes will be allocated for S1. And similarly, I can write more objects. In nutshell, we can say separate memory, total calculation of this memory, total. That means total memory, depending upon these declarations, will be allocated for this structure. That means for S1, 28 bytes, for S2, separate 28 bytes, and for S3 and so on, separate memory will be allocated for these objects. This is one way of declaring objects, or you can say variables of a structure. But as I have told you in the previous video, that this student, or you can say this is a structure tag. This is a tag, or you can say structure name. It is optional. How it is optional? Take care. For example, now I hope now you have understood how to declare objects. First of all, if we have to declare the objects in man, I will write the name of the structure, full name, subtract along with the followed by the name of the structure, and then the object name. For example, I can also declare, or we can say objects here as well, here only. For example, I will write here S. We know that the body of the structure begins from this and up to this, up to semicolon. The body of the structure is from this opening brace up to the semicolon. If you observe, I have declared this structure before the semicolon. This object S before the semicolon. That means this object belongs to this structure. In that case, I can omit this. There is no need to write the structure tag. There is no need to write the structure tag, or we can say structure name. Because I have told you that the structure name is optional. If I declare the object within this semicolon, before this semicolon, then it is optional. There is no need to write this structure tag. I can write here more than S1, S2, and so on, just like as I have declared the objects in the main program. But, for example, here I have declared two objects, S1 and S2. S1 and S2. And when the program is running, I felt a need of some more objects where I am going to, and I want to declare them in the main, for example, or any other part of the program. For example, void main. If I declare here student S3, for example, S3, it will show me an error. It will show me an error because S3 the compiler will not understand to whom this S3 belongs because there is no name of the structure name. If I write here subtract student S3, the compiler will search this subtract student where it is, but here is not a name optional. Here is not a name, so it will show me an error. Then it is mandatory to write here the name of the structure, for example, student. Sorry, student. Now it is okay. क्योंकि अस्टोर फिक्री अगर ऐसे ऑब्जेक्ट करो क्रिएट विद इन द बॉडी ऑफ दिस स्ट्रक्चर सेमीकोलन ब्रूमोट तेल छना जरूरत क्या स्ट्रक्चर नाउ स्ट्रक्चर टैग लिखने क्या मगर अगर अच्छी आसान कि नसा इस करो मैन प्रोग्रामस मंज मैन फंक्शन या बल कुन फंक्शन मंज प्रोग्राम चे करो से आसा यम ऑब्जेक्ट्स क्रिएट ऑब्जेक्ट्स करो डिक्लेयर तम खोत जरूरी कि अस गस आसन ते विटनेस स्टूडेंट then I guess after this student tag, the structure tagged. Otherwise, it will show me an error. Yeah, I see error. Now I hope that you are familiar how to declare a structure. How to declare a structure, variable in a structure, or we can say how to declare the objects of the structure. There are two ways for declaring the objects of the structure. First, we can declare them within the declaration part where I have declared the structure, I can declare objects there as well. There I can omit this structure name. And second way is we can declare their objects, or we can say variables of objects in any part of the program or in a main program, in a main function by writing the name of this data type, complete name of the data type. Subtract followed by the structure tag. अगर टाइटल में structure tag लिखूंगी it will show me an error. तेरे है में error. ठीक है अगर ये तन में थोकी ही अगर मेरे पास outside this object create. Okay. I hope now you have understood how to declare the structure variables of the structure, or you can say objects of the structure. For example, here I want to declare the 60 variables, 60 objects of this structure. Now, to writing S1, S2, S3, up to S60, it is not a good programming practice. At that time, I can use arrays. For example, I will write S of 60. That is it. This is one more way of declaring the arrays, structure arrays, we get objects here. Now I hope that you have understood how to declare the structure and how to declare the objects of the structure, or you can say variables of the structure. And inshallah in the next video we will discuss how to initialize these structures, these variables, structure variables or objects or the members of the structure, how they are going to be initialized and how this structure object or these objects access these variables. Inshallah that will be discussed in next video. Till next video, take care. Bye bye.